Yes, please.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Swami Prabhupada. Translation. My dear friend, what do you eat to maintain your body? Because you're chewing betel, a pleasant scent is emanating from your mouth. This proves that you always eat the remnants of food offered to Lord Vishnu. Indeed, you must also be an expansion of Lord Vishnu's body. Your face is as beautiful as a pleasing lake. Your jeweled earrings resemble two brilliant sharks with unblinking eyes like those of Vishnu. And your own eyes resemble two restless fish. Simultaneously, therefore, two sharks and two restless fish are swimming in the lake of your face. Besides them, rows of your white teeth seem like rows of very beautiful swans in the water, and your scattered hair resembles swans or swarms of bumblebees following the beauty of your face. Perfect. The devotees of Lord Vishnu are also his expansions. They are called Vibhinnamsa. Lord Vishnu is offered all kinds of sacrificial ingredients. And because devotees always eat prasada, the remnants of his food, the scent of sacrificial ingredients emanates not only from Vishnu, but also from the devotees who eat remnants of his food or food of his devotees. Agnidra, considered Purvachitti, an expansion of Lord Vishnu, because of the pleasing scent of her body. Aside from that, because of her jeweled earrings, shaped like sharks, because of her scattered hair resembling bumblebees, mad after the scent of her body, and because of the white rows of her teeth, which resemble swans. Agnidra compared Purvachitti's face to a beautiful lake, decorated with lotus flowers, fish, swans, and bumblebees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, "Maya Vansha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhut Sanatana." So all living entities are parts and parcels of Krishna. And if we see the philosophy of Acharya Ramanuja, Achintya Vishishtadvaita. So you see the distinction between the living entity and the Lord is very subtle. That's why Mayavadis confused. Mayavadis get confused and they think that sometimes the living entity can become the Supreme Lord. So the qualitative oneness between the Supreme Lord and the living entity means that the living entity can manifest the power of the Supreme Lord. Like we have seen this example of Hridaya Chaitanya who was manifesting Lord Chaitanya. Or we see other living entities, like for example, Arjun and Uddhava, they used to look practically like a Krishna because they were so much absorbed in meditation on Krishna. So, so the living entity is a spark of consciousness, and the Supreme Lord is super consciousness. So, naturally, the living entity, so naturally, the living entity can manifest the qualities of the Supreme Lord and appear to be almost like the Supreme. So this is very subtle. It's very difficult to understand also. The more the living entity is caught up in Maya, the more he's influenced by the modes of nature, the less divine qualities he manifests. The more the living entity is in communion with the Supreme Lord, the more he's able to manifest the qualities of the Supreme. Therefore, what Maharaj Agnidra is saying here is very logical also. Because indeed this Purva Chitti, she was manifesting the qualities of Krishna. We should understand that Purva Chitti was very attractive to look at. And Maharaj Agnidra had been in trance. He had been worshipping the Supreme. So therefore, when Purvachitti appeared in front of him, he could not understand. Of course, we can also see from here that Maharaj Agnidra knows that his attraction towards Purvachitti is certainly not anything divine, because he is being attracted by her bodily features. But still, because she is so attractive, he is he's speculating whether she's some ansha of the Supreme Lord himself. That's why she's so attractive. So the point here is, the more the living entity is purified, the more he is able to manifest the qualities of the Supreme. That's why we say Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastra. Or as Lord Vishnu says, Acharya Mam Vijaniyam. That the Acharya is as good as me. So why this special consideration? Because Acharya is acting purely on the mission of the Supreme Lord. Acharya's life is only dedicated to the Supreme Lord and he's executing the orders of the Supreme Lord exactly. He's to be considered as good as Supreme Lord. So just like that, the living entity who surrenders to Krishna, who serves Krishna more and more, he also becomes as good as Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments? Okay, then we continue. Text 14. Yosau tvaya kara saroja hatah patango.
Yoso tvaya
Karasaroj
hata patango.
Dikshu Brahman Brahmata ejayate kshini me.
Dikshu Brahman Brahmat ejayate kshini me.
Muktam nate smarasi vakra jata varusam.
Muktam na te samarasi vakra jata varudham.
Kashto nilo harati lampata esha nile.
Kashto nilo harati lampat esha nivinam.
Yes.
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Shla Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Translation: My mind is already restless, and by playing with the ball, moving it all about with your lotus-like palm, you are also agitating my eyes. Your curling black hair is now scattered, but you are not attentive to arranging it. Are you not going to arrange it? Like a man attached to woman, the most cunning wind is trying to take off your lower garment. Are you not mindful of it? Purport: The girl Purvachatti was playing with the ball in her hand, and the ball seemed like nothing but another lotus flower captured by her lotus-like palm. Because of her movement, her hair were loose, and the belt holding her cloth was giving way, as if the cunning wind were trying to make her naked. Yet she paid no attention to arranging her hair or fixing her dress. As Agnidhar tried to see the girl's naked beauty, his eyes were very agitated by her movements. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. Now we see Maharaj Agni's bodily consciousness is slowly increasing. So the more he's in association with Maya, the more he's becoming agitated, the more his consciousness is descending into Rajaguna. Now you see, now he's not addressing her as Brahmana or as Lord. Now he's directly talking about looking at her body. So he says, you are agitating my eyes. My mind is already restless. You are agitating my eyes. Your curling black hair is now scattered, but you are not attentive to arranging it. So now you see, now his consciousness is descending more and more to the bodily level. And you can see now, Maharaj Agnidhar is now becoming more and more affected by lusty desires. So we see in Bhagavad Gita, dhyayato vishayana pumsha sangasteshu pajayate, sangat sanjayate kama, kamat krodho vijayate. Of course, krodh is not going to come here, but sangat sanjayate kama. So when we come in contact with any material object, in the beginning, we just pay attention to the material object. Dhyayato vishayana pumsha, sangasteshu pajayate. That leads to attachment. So Maharaj Agnidhar, he was performing his penance, and he just heard Purvachatti, and he just saw her from his half-opened eyes. He could have just ignored her. Srila Haridas Thakur, when he saw the prostitute approaching him, he was not concerned. He knew exactly why she had come. As we see at the end of the third day, the last day of the pastime, Haridas Thakur mentions it. He says that I knew why you had come here. So, but Haridas Thakur, because Param Drishta Nivartate, because he was already attracted to a higher taste, he was not agitated by that prostitute. On the other hand, Maharaj Agnidhar or we see Rishi Vishwamitra, they were attracted because dhyayato vishayana puksha. See, at that stage, the higher attachment to Krishna is still not developed. See, while we are in the sadhana stage of bhakti, we are not attracted to Krishna. We are doing it as a matter of discipline. So the brahmacharya and sannyas practices in sadhana stage, they are a matter of discipline. Like an army man, he has to follow discipline. A soldier, it's very difficult. Soldiers have to get up at 4 in the morning in the academy. They have to brush, they have to shave, they have to bathe, everything, and they have to be ready at 5 o'clock for the parade. And it's very difficult because that goes on like practically all 365 days. There's no break. So it's very difficult, but they have to do it. It's a matter of discipline. So bhakti also in the beginning stages is a matter of discipline. So Brahmachari Ashram, like Srila Prabhupada also mentions, and Bhakti Vikas Swami also mentions this, that we live in a society where women are practically trying to agitate the minds of all men. We can see, especially in the West now, the summer season has come. You will see practically half-naked ladies everywhere on the street, every street corner. So Bhakti Vikas Swami writes that it's very difficult to, how do, like, this is a consideration. Like when I was in the temple also, that was 20 years ago, but still we saw so many Matajis who would dress very provocatively and attractively to come to temples. But that's the nature, that's nature. This world belongs to Maya. We are the exceptions here. We cannot blame anyone and say, hey, why are you behaving so in such an uncultured manner? That's not, we can't say that. We are here in this world. We are trying to go against the current. So dhyato vishayana pumshas. Don't pay attention. It's difficult. It's a matter of discipline. It's very, very difficult. Practically impossible. But then again, anything good in this life requires discipline. It needs hard work. 200,000 boys appear for National Defense Academy and only 600 boys are selected. 1 million boys appear for IIT and only 2,000 get worthwhile seats. Same is the case for medical and for IIM. So you see, anything good in this life requires a great deal of hard work. So bhakti is also like that. You're trying to attain Krishna. Srila Prabhupada always used to say, be extremely careful. You're dealing with Krishna. See, in the beginning stages of bhakti, we may think, oh, it's all right, who's listening to me? I can do whatever. But the moment you say Hare Krishna, Krishna is already paying attention to you. He's looking at you. Like imagine your mother and father sitting in front of you and they're looking at you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to do some nasty things? Are you going to watch pornography in front of them? Are you going to do some dirty things? No. So Krishna is looking at you. As soon as you have said Hare Krishna, Krishna has looked at you. You said Hare Krishna, Krishna is also saying, so yes, what do you want? Yes, I am here. What do you want? So you think, what are you going to say? So dhyato vishayana pumsha sangasteshu bhajayate. When we pay attention to the material nature, we become attached. Sangat sanjayate kama. And this sort of attachment leads to lust, the desire to enjoy. I see a car on the street every day and I become attached. And then I go to a showroom and I buy the same car. Sangat sanjayate kama. Desire to enjoy. So now we see here, Maharaj Agnidhara has moved from dhyato vishayan to sanga to kama. Now he's directly talking about seeing her beauty, her naked beauty. So you can see how quickly human consciousness descends into Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So this is like a warning to us. This is like a warning to us. We should be also very careful in our dealings in this material world. Hare Krishna. Yes. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna was Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
From last 2 days, we are discussing about the conduct of Agnideva. Due respect to Bhagavatam, Vyasdev, and Prabhupada. There are no comments on that. I'm more worried about the character of this Agnideva. He was not a child produced out of mental appreciation. He came out without the physical contact. And he had a number of sisters and brothers. He must have seen his mother. He must have seen his sisters, etc. So what was he trying to do with this Apsara?
Okay.
I think he was trying to be smart. I will put it this way. He cannot so innocent. And neither we can expect his sisters were so innocent.
Okay, so a bit of a context here. So Maharaj Agnidhara was certainly born in a very, very elevated age, not the age like ours. So, and one thing one should understand that Brahmacharya begins before puberty sets in. So this, these austerities of Brahmacharya, they begin before a boy even has a consciousness of male and female. That is the whole concept of brahmacharya, preventing contamination before it has even started. That's why in the older ages, boys who are brahmacharis could become sannyasis easily, because there was never any contact with female. They would just stay with the Guru Mata from the age of 7 or 8. I mean, Pauganda age, they would go to the ashram. From Pauganda, they would go to ashram, then they would stay till the age of Keshor, then till the age of Yavan. Then after that, they would just be transferred. They could either become grahasthas or sannyasis. So because right from the Pauganda age, before the consciousness, this kind of gender consciousness sets in, a person has already surrendered to Krishna. So there is very less chance that he would become attracted to female body. Because it's not just a question of abstinence from sex desire. They are also consciously acquiring Vedic knowledge, and they are purifying themselves through various sacrifices and penances. They are acquiring knowledge, they are practicing that knowledge, so they are already becoming quite pure. So there is very little remnant of lusty desires within the heart. So Maharaj Agnidra had also stayed in such a condition, and he was engaged in deep trance. But because he had a desire to attain Pitra Loka, he fell down. So at this stage, he has just awakened from a trance, so he has no idea what is going on here. Now, by the verses that we are reading today, we can understand that now his consciousness is returning to a bodily level. In the beginning, he was quite bewildered, 5-6 verses ago. But now his consciousness has very much returned to the bodily level. And now he's trying to appreciate the feminine beauty of Purvachitti. So
Because
does that
I
clear it
agree
out?
I agree that it must be now changing all that.
Hmm.
And even today, I think in present time also, it's only very smart boys who understands everything from the childhood itself, that they pass this type of remarks. So who are you and what are you carrying there and all these things. So I share with the class a very, very embarrassing but a truthful thing. I was academic advisor to a trust. And right behind my chamber, there was the residence of the menial boys. And I could see children at the age group of 4 to 5 at the most, talking those things which I could not believe.
Well, this is Kali Yuga. So their consciousness is degrading very fast.
Because here he says immediately after that I like to marry you. So that means he had that consciousness. I agree. He saw her, he was impressed. Now he had been a brahmachari, he was trying to take time. But whatever I mentioned, he must have seen his mother growing. He must have seen his sisters growing. He can make out who is a man or who is a woman.
Well, not really, because he belongs to the family of Rajarshis. So this kind of consciousness is not encouraged in these households. Right from the very beginning, they learn about the Supreme Lord. They associate with sages. I mean, this is a household where Narad Muni is visiting. So certainly they are very elevated souls. They don't indulge in such kind of low behavior. As soon as they are like little bit grown up, they are immediately engaged in devotional service. They are not thinking about sex life at all. There is hardly any exposure. That's the beauty of Vedic culture, that this kind of bodily consciousness is never encouraged. It is constantly discouraged. Like in a train, there are 5 types of brakes just to stop it. So Vedic culture also always encourages, always discourages any kind of material development. If we see, for example, the ancient kings and princes, they were traveling by wooden chariots pulled by horses. I mean, Arjun, Karna, Bhim, Duryodhan, they were brilliant people. They could have developed automobiles, but they were not doing any such things. I mean, people who had knowledge of Brahmastra. Brahmastra is more powerful than any nuclear weapon developed today.
True.
And these Kshatriyas had knowledge of that weapon. But they were not developing aircrafts or automobiles, which would have been really very convenient for them. But they didn't do any such thing. Because Vedic culture discourages use of human intelligence for material propensities. Dharmasya apavargasya nartho arthaya kalpate. Dharmasya here apavargasya. So pavarga literally means material activities. Prabhupada explains. Pavarga. So that is just materialistic activities. So dharmasya here apavargasya. It is against all material development. Dharmasya apavargasya na nartho arthaya kalpate. Its purpose is not development of material wealth or material knowledge. So therefore, in these ancient cultures, this kind of sexual behavior was never encouraged in children, except for the very demonic living entities. In Rajarshi families, that's why we see out of his own sons also, his brothers, his sons, they will all become sannyasis. Of course, you can imagine the palaces must be full of beautiful women and everything, but they are directly becoming sannyasis. Because right from a Poganda age, before this gender consciousness is developed, they are all now in today's age, yes, little boys are learning about sex and other things, and they are secretly talking about girls. But in those ages, strictly no. These boys were trained under very austere sadhus, like great sages like Narad Muni, Angira. They would be visiting these palaces. They would be meeting these princes. Right from the very childhood, from the day they could understand human language, they would be taught about the Supreme Lord. They would be taught all the principles of Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, this sort of bewilderment of Maharaj Agnidhra is very natural. But not in today's age. Everyone is wicked now. Even the brahmacharis and sannyasis are impure. But not in those ancient ages.
True. I said, Srimad Bhagavatam and Vyas Muni writing it, there's no reason not to believe it. But I was like, you see, because the thing is, Prabhuji, we state will get into the present day era and we compare with that.
Yeah.
So with my limited knowledge and everything, I certainly compare what used to be happening in my time, what's happening now. So how could believe all these things retrospectively? This must be of Satyuga.
So that's why now only chanting of holy names. Now nothing will work in this age. This age is very, very degraded.
Correct. Thank you for thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we continue. Text 15. Rupam tapodhan tapascharatam tapognam.
Rupam tapodhan
tapascharatam tapodhan.
Etattu kena tapasa bhavatopalabdham.
Atato
kena tapasa bhavatopalabdham.
Tum tapor hasi maya saha mitra mahyam.
Tum taporasi maya sahamitra mahyam.
Kimva prasidati savay bhava bhavano me.
Prasidati savai bhavano me.
Yes. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Translation purport by Sri Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada. Translation. O best among the performing austerities, where did you get this wonderful beauty that dismantles the austerities performed by others? Where have you learned this art? What austerity have you undergone to achieve this beauty? My dear friend, I desire that you join me to perform austerity and penance. For it may be that the creator of this universe, Lord Brahma, being pleased with me, has sent you to become my wife. Purport. Agnidhra appreciated the wonderful beauty of Gaurivachit. Indeed, he was surprised to see such exceptional beauty, which must have been the result of past austerities and penance. He therefore asked the girl whether she had achieved such beauty just to break the penance and the austerities of others. He thought that Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, might have been pleased with him and might therefore have sent her to become his wife. He requested Puri Uchita to become his wife so that together they could perform austerities and penance in family life. In other words, a suitable wife helps her husband perform penance and austerities. In household life, if both of them are on the same elevated, platform of spiritual understanding. Without a spiritual understanding, husband and wife cannot be equally situated. Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, is interested in good progeny. Therefore, unless he is, yes, sir, please, one cannot get a suitable wife. In fact, Lord Brahma is worshipped in marriage ceremonies. In India, even today, wedding invitations are still issued with a picture of Lord Brahma on the face of the card. Thank you, Rohit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, many times, devotees quote these verses and then they say, this is how glorious Grahastha Ashram is. Husband and wife should perform austerities together and become purified. But that's a compromise. That's a compromise. So actually, you see, why, if one wants to really perform austerities for Krishna, why does he need the help of a wife? One can simply perform austerities if the objective is only to attain Krishna. So yes, if one is not strong enough, one may get married. But why should one look forward to it? A lame man walks with crutches. But that doesn't mean that crutches are something desirable. Not that a healthy man should get his leg cut off and then he should use crutches. No, one shouldn't do that. So now he requested Purvachitti to become his wife so that they could perform austerities and penances in family life. In other words, a suitable wife helps her husband perform penances and austerities in household life if both of them are on the same elevated platform of spiritual understanding. Of course, it is the husband's duty to elevate the wife. If the husband is not elevating the wife to spiritual platform, then he is lower than a dog. Then such a husband is an animal. He's not a human being. A man should not become a husband or a father if he cannot give spiritual guidance to his dependents. Then such a husband is just a lusty dog. It's no better than an animal. He's just in the household life for enjoying sex life. That's all. Grahamedhi. So such a person, he will lose his human birth, because human birth is meant to realize the Supreme. And if one just takes a household life without imparting spiritual education, without acquiring spiritual education, then that human form will be taken away. One will become an animal again. So without spiritual understanding, husband and wife cannot be equally situated. Certainly, married life means lusty desires. That's why one is married. Otherwise, one would take sannyas immediately. But in this age of Kali, it's difficult to take sannyas because there are no suitable ashrams. But still, as far as possible, there are some places where a person can become a brahmachari or become a sannyasi and stay peacefully. So here we see Maharaj Agnidhara is talking so many glorious things about Purvachitti simply because he is attracted to her bodily form. So he has been performing austerities, but he is very much attracted to her. Therefore, he is trying to lure her. He's trying to, try to attract her to himself. So in reality, you see, if you want to perform austerities and penances, such encumbrances are not needed. If one doesn't have any female attraction yet, one should not encourage it. One should not increase it. So Grahastha Ashram is not something to be encouraged. It's a compromise. A hospital is not a desirable thing. It is something which is needed. That's all, because there are sick people. No one wants to be in a hospital voluntarily and happily. People would just go there when they are sick, and as soon as they are all right, they would run away the first day. That's Grahastha Ashram also. Because we are mentally sick, we are lusty. Therefore, we need the shelter of Grahastha Ashram. But it is not something glorious at all. It is not something to be encouraged. It is not something to be looked forward to. Because there is every danger of fall down. Srila Prabhupada explains that Grahastha Ashram is a part of Pravritti Marga. And Pravritti is not very much encouraged in Bhakti. Because Prabhupada says that human mind, our mind is so fickle that even if we enjoy senses following all rules and regulations, there is a danger of fall down. Yes, even grahasthas can fall down. Even in grahastha ashram, there is fall down. One should be very, very careful. So certainly, this sort of an arrangement is not encouraged. So as far as possible, like, Matajis should stay away from Prabhujis, and Prabhujis should avoid Matajis at any cost. Like, our movement is now very well developed. So we have Matajis who are suitably, learned in Shastras. So as far as possible, Matajis and Prabhujis should have separate programs, even if they are Grahasthas. There is like nothing that a Prabhuji will gain by being associating with other Matajis than his own wife. Nothing to be gained. It's just going to be an unnecessary distraction from his own bhakti. So as far as possible, even if one is a married man, being married does not give us immunity to Maya. We are living in the lap of Maya. How can we be immune? Or at best, we can say we are used to Maya, but we cannot say we are immune to Maya. But we have to overcome this Maya if we want to go back to Godhead. So even as a Grahastha, one should strive very hard to remain aloof from the society in general. Sango tyaga sato vritti. The Sangha tyaga. So to give up this kind of unnecessary materialistic attachments, one should stay away. So this gender segregation is very much important in a spiritual society. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments? Yes, Mata, you have a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Ji. Prabhuji, I actually have two questions. One from the previous verse. So the previous verse, the way they are explaining Maharaj Agnidhar's situation. This is Maharaj Agnidhar who was austere. So then what does that looks like for us who are today in deep, deep lap of Maya? Like if we look at our days, starting from the very beginning till the end, we are thoroughly in clutches of Maya, like one after another. So then what does that looks like for us? And let alone that, on top of that, our sadhana. Like despite of this fear that we feel that we are in deep clutches of Maya, our sadhana is still a roller coaster ride.
Yes.
So how can we use this fear, the way that we are feeling by reading this, how can we use that fear to accelerate our sadhana? Because it's still up and down.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Imagine you have a child, right?
Ji.
He must have been a very small toddler at one time. Now imagine this little toddler is playing in the park. Okay. Now a big dog like a German Shepherd or a Doberman approaches him. What will the child say or do? What will the child do?
Run to the mother.
Yeah. Can the child run away? Can the child run away from the dog?
No.
I mean, even we can't run away from a dog, right? So what does the child do? He just cries. Yeah. What does he cry?
For his mother.
Yeah. Does he cry like, hey dog, I'll beat you, or I'll get my gun or something? No. He cries for his mother. Why? Why does he cry for his mother?
So mother can save him.
Well, who can save against a raging Doberman?
No, at least he has that somebody is there to protect me.
Yes, because the child has been in the shelter of the mother's womb. That sanskar is still there. And as soon as he was born, he was in the lap of his mother. So he was in the lap of his mother, he was in the womb of his mother. So that's the only shelter he knows. You're getting it? So cries helplessly. He knows he's gone. He's a goner. There's nothing he can do. There's nothing literally. He has no strength to run. He has no strength to fight the dog. He can only cry helplessly. So who's our mother?
Krishna.
Yes. So what do we do?
We cry sometimes and sometimes we don't cry.
Yeah, when we don't cry, we are actually consorting with Maya. We are relishing.
Yes.
Tsunami water is coming and we are thinking it is warm and nice to swim in it. So, you see, so we should be fearful. Prabhupada says we should be fearful of Maya. We should be very fearful. anything can happen in this material world. It's a dangerous place. It's a very, very dangerous place.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Another question is, here there is a line in this verse 15 that says, without spiritual understanding, husband and wife cannot be equally situated. What does this mean?
Okay, so cannot be equally situated. So same spiritual plane. So, I mean, this is not, Prabhupada is not talking about some modern feminism here. You see, okay, I'll give you one engineering analogy. If like, in railway engines and all, if two wheels are not running at the same velocity, or if two motors are not running at the same RPM, one will burn the other.
Yes.
The load balance would be, the load would be unbalanced, and one motor would take more load and will burn. So if husband and wife are not of the same spiritual caliber, so then wife will not be submissive, or the husband will not be pure enough. Then in that case, either of the spouse will degrade the other spouse.
Yes. And if we look at Kali Yuga, how many of the couples are equally situated? Hardly any. So then what does that look like for this present age? Because regardless of one person try, if the other person is still not willing to take Krishna consciousness, then
it's a royal road to hell. It's a royal road to hell. I'll give you one example. One of my godbrothers, he got married to a girl, which was a love marriage, a girl who was a meat eater. I mean, of course, if she was eating meat, then she must be taking alcohol also, because she was from a media agency. And I worked in a media company, and I know how degraded females there are. Only the clerical staff, the accounts, only these girls were sober. But the main media girls, they were the most degraded I ever found. Like, so degraded that it was shocking. So you see, in such a condition, how will you maintain bhakti? Because you will be degraded by the association of such a person. If your spouse is a meat eater, drunkard, or illicit sex monger, how can you remain pure? So you have to be very careful. Anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya varjanam. Acharyas are very clear. Pratikulasya varjanam. If the boat is tied to the corner of the river, to the beach, to the shore of the river, how will the boat ever move? You may be the strongest Olympic rower in this world, but if the boat is tied by a rope, you can do nothing. This giant 50,000, 60,000 ton container ships, they are just attached by one anchor. One small chain binds the whole ship to the sea. So you see, even in the modern age, if you see these ship anchors, there's just one chain or two chains. The chain itself is maybe hardly 10 tons or 20 tons, but the ship is like 60,000 tons, 100,000 tons. And it is just held in one place by the small anchor, helplessly. So you see, these kind of polluted spouses, they hold back our spiritual consciousness, because we are affectionate to them. So, like there's an old English saying, a man is known by the company he keeps. If I am attached to a non-devotee spouse, that speaks volumes about my own consciousness. Srila Prabhupada's wife was not... See, now here's one point. Many times devotees quote Srila Prabhupada's wife. But Srila Prabhupada's wife was not a non-devotee. She was okay. She was worshipping Radha and Krishna at home. She was just not interested in preaching. That was Prabhupada's main objection to her. She was not interested in preaching, but she was not a non-devotee. So you see, it's a difficult task. It's a balancing act. It's very dangerous. So a devotee should not just get married. Like sometimes we see so many boys, they just marry some random girls. Hey, Prabhu, one has to be a grahastha. Then why are you marrying a non-devotee girl? But Prabhu, be grahastha. That is not grahastha. That is grahameti. I mean, let's be very honest. You just want to have sex, so you're getting married. And you're calling that grahasthashram. No, we cannot patch things back into, we can't just concoct our own philosophy here. Grahastha means grahasthane, ashram, one who stays, one who's practicing Krishna consciousness. Not simply that he's living with a woman and having sex. No, that is not grahastha, that's grahamedhi. That means his consciousness is not purified. That means he is not interested in Krishna really. See, if someone comes to you and tells you that he hates your son, will you make friends with such a person?
No.
No, then why would you make friends with someone who hates Krishna if you love Krishna? A non-devotee means one who doesn't like Krishna. And we are
Who
seeing,
doesn't like Krishna or who doesn't like to serve Krishna?
Well, that's the same thing.
It's the same thing, right? Yes. Yeah. True.
What the meaning of love means service. Srila Prabhupada always translated bhakti as devotional service. He never translates that as devotion.
Very true.
In all Indian translations of Bhagavad Gita or any other place, the word bhakti is translated as devotion. But Srila Prabhupada writes devotional service. Without service, there is no question of devotion. It's just nonsense.
True. I think this is very depressing fact too, and also very fearful. This should be good to keep our sadhana strong.
Yeah, we should be very careful. We live in very dangerous times.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna ji. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments here?
Hare Krishna. I have just one question about preaching, especially in the Grihastha ashram, or it doesn't matter, any ashram or any devotee. There's many people who have been in Krishna consciousness for a long time. They are doing chanting and coming to temple, having this and that, but they are not interested in preaching. So we should kind of deal with that, if they are just like happy that they are doing their own sadhana and that's it.
Well, they should be following the instructions of their spiritual master. Of course, not everyone can preach, but everyone should try to preach. So either one should preach or one should serve those who are preaching. But in any case, our movement is centered around preaching. Without preaching, there is no life. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, anyone who has life can preach. And one who doesn't preach is already a dead man. Stop here today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.